This has never happened to me before. Last month I made a very pretty, very simple card. At least I thought it was simple. You guys very graciously agreed that it was pretty, but I had so many requests for a full tutorial that I figured I better just do it. So here it is. I started by stamping my Ellen Hudson tulips 4 times using some Copic-friendly black ink and my Misty. Then I colored them. I am by no means a Copic coloring expert, but I have had the opportunity to watch a couple of classes from Elise from Kit and Clowder, and I've learned a lot. Elise is one of the speakers at the upcoming Cardmaker Success Summit, and I'll tell you a bit more about that in a minute. I will show you how I colored 1 tulip and 1 set of leaves so you don't have to sit through it all. I started with 4 pink markers from the RV10 family. One thing I've learned from Elise is that to create the look of dimension, you need a lot of contrast. I worked dark to light, and I started by putting the darkest color where the shadows would be on the tulip, in the center of each petal, between the petals, and along the bottom of the whole flower. Then I went in with my next darkest shade, and I extended those lines a little bit. I did the same with my 3rd marker, and then finally I covered the whole flower with the lightest marker to give the look of highlights. I added some yellow to the center of the tulip. I feel like this adds a little interest and sophistication to the flowers. I darkened up any areas that I thought needed it, and then I was finished. For the leaves, I did the same thing, but with only 3 markers this time. I'm less worried about getting a lot of contrast here, because the leaves really aren't the focal point. The tulips are. Again, I started dark where I thought the shadows would be, and I added some mid-tone and then finally a bright yellow-green to both change the tone of the color and to leave the highlights. And when all the flowers were finished, I did one more step with a BG11 marker. I outlined the flowers and leaves with quite a broad stroke. This helps the flowers to stand out from the white panel, but really my intent is to color the little border that will result when I die cut them. Here's all 4 of my colored and die cut tulips, plus 1 plain white die cut, and you'll see how I use that once I assemble the card. Speaking of the card, I decided this time to make a full A2 size card, just to show you that it doesn't have to be a 4 1/4 inch square card, even though those are my favorites. A normal A2 size card would be 8.5 by 5.5, and then scored at 4 1/4. And you could create a Z-fold card by just folding the front of the card in half like this. But you can change the size of the front 2 panels by changing the size of the cardstock you start with. I've cut a piece of heavy cardstock so that it's 11 inches by 5.5 inches. I started by scoring at 4 1/4 inches, and this will be the back panel of the Z-fold. And then I'm left with 7 3/4 inches of cardstock. I did some quick math and I figured out that I need to score this at 3 7/8 to divide this portion in half. If I wanted, I could have cut the cardstock so that it was 5.5 by 10 1/4 inches. That would mean my front 2 panels would be 3 inches each, and that would give another different look. I've used white cardstock, and you could use any color you want if you prefer. I'm going to blend some soft aqua along the top of the card to create a sky, and then some green along the bottom. You could do this blending before the scoring. You can see that the score lines are kind of capturing the ink, so it's not that smooth. Just before I assemble the card, I wanted to say that I'm so flattered that you are all so interested in wanting to learn how to make this card. If you're a person who loves learning new card making techniques, you may be interested in attending the Cardmaker Success Summit, which is running from February 23rd to 26th. There are over 25 speakers, each with their own tutorial, and you can attend absolutely free. I've put a link in the description below this video so you can head over and register for your free ticket, and you can join us to watch the videos as they go live, and then get a chance to ask questions from the speakers themselves. You'll have access to those videos for 24 hours after they go live. As always, there's also a paid VIP option, which allows you immediate and ongoing access to the videos, so you can watch at your leisure and refer back to them whenever you want. In addition to the videos, there's a number of live sessions with various sponsors who will have special bundles and discounts, as well as giveaways for US residents, and overall, it's just a ton of fun. I really hope you'll join us. To assemble the card, I started from the back. I glued on 1 set of tulips so that it's right up pretty much against that right edge. This is so we'll be able to see some of it from the front. Then I folded the card together to help with the placement of the set of tulips on the front panel. I want them to line up directly so that the flowers on the inside are a surprise as the person opens up the card. You can see that the Copic coloring has bled through to the back quite a bit, and that's not very pretty. That's where this extra die cut comes in. I simply glued the two of them together. That gives me a nice white clean backing. To figure out where to put the glue on the back of this doubled up die cut tulip, I used some low tack tape to hold it in place on the front of the card, then flipped it over and drew some pencil lines along the back of it on that white die cut. Then I just removed the die cut, added glue right up to the line before closing the card and lining up the tulips again, right over the ones on the back panel. I see that the pencil lines are a little bit visible, so I grabbed an eraser and erased them. For the center portion, I had 2 more sets of tulips to play with. You could absolutely just glue one of them as is on that center panel, but I decided to cut them up for a bit of variety. I had a bit more room on this A2 size version, so it took me a little bit of playing around to come up with an arrangement that I was happy with, using all the bits and pieces I had left. In the end, I kind of mixed and matched, but I got what I think is good coverage while leaving room to stamp a sentiment and maybe write a little message. To add some sparkle, I added some Stardust Stickles to the 2 edges of the card by running the tip down the edge and then smearing them a little with my finger. This no precision required approach gives an organic, sparkly edge to the panel, and both edges will be visible when the card is closed. I hope this helped you understand how the card came together, and I really hope that you'll take the opportunity to grab your free ticket to the summit by clicking on the link below. And if you have any questions about the summit, please let me know. This is the 4th summit, and it's the 4th one I've been involved in. I can definitely say they get better each time. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time.